Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavelich, and across the way in the Grove, the star of the show, the one and only Jesse Martineau.
What up, everybody? It's a Monday. It's a Monday with no football.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday with no football. There was no football on Sunday. It's a sad time. However, new things are happening. There were some big fights on the weekend. Formula One starts this weekend.
Live Golf started this weekend.
Who?
Live Golf.
Yes, Live Golf started this weekend.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I have a fresh beer.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my style right there. That's a little bit towards my end now.
Yeah.
Usually you got that stuff that looks like mud in your glass. And I still can't do that. I don't know why I can't, but you like that mud. Boy.
Oh, yeah. If it's not engine oil, what's the point?
Yeah. No, I agree.
We'll be right back on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. I am Mark Pavelich, and across the way in the Grove, of course, the one and only Jesse Martineau with a very mid-level.
Well, it's darkness, but it's very hoppy.
It's see, warehouse guys on the Me and Jesse podcast. What you ever hear, it's very hoppy, right? Because Jesse can talk about beer like he does wine and like he does food. I always said that Jesse, he should have his own YouTube channel. And it would be like Me and Jesse, and then just on YouTube, Jesse. If we can just get Jesse, and
that one
he
might
would
be
do
taken.
Yeah, I'm sure it's taken for sure. But that would be the one where you.
But I have my own channel there.
I know, but I'm saying is more about beer, food.
Yes. What I need is someone to film me.
Yes,
and then make these for me.
Yeah, because you know how to do that yourself, but you need someone to do it for you.
Now I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's one of those things, you know.
And I'm loving Backscape. I'm loving what Backscape is doing right now with you as their what would you call that? What you're doing? Like, what would your position be called?
Well, I have many titles. Mark.
Well, no, you have many titles, but what is like you being the figurehead?
Yeah. Well, the face now.
That's right. That's right.
And so there's
those commercials, man. Loving those commercials.
It's been fun. We've had a crazy weekend in sports. In terms
our guest tonight, before anybody asks, our guest, Eric Harris, plays in the NFL, Atlanta Falcons, Las Vegas Raiders. Little sickness today. So he's scheduled for next Monday. And that's what happens when your kids are in daycare, right?
Yeah.
They come home and everybody gets sick.
It's going around.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's part of life.
It is.
Which is what this show's
about. We apologize, but that's life.
Yeah. So crazy weekend of sports, but if you aren't into bare, I remember when Mark and I first heard about bare knuckle boxing. Mm-hmm. It was like, I don't know if this is the thing we should be doing.
Yeah, totally.
Really, because you watch, you're like, whoa, because you only saw the things and the guy getting up and his eyes like out of his forehead, and so you're like, okay, well, I don't know, but. After time, and after we had Adam Belcher on the show now a couple times, it's awesome. It's actually awesome. I don't know that there is, but there's something that every single punch thrown, you feel like something is going to happen. Yes. Where there's a lot of times, and again, it goes through ebbs and flows, but a lot of they're trying to make it go the distance. They're trying to get that, but with bare knuckle boxing, at some point there's going to be someone laying on their back on the mat.
There's a sudden ending to everything. It seems like,
not many go to the card.
That's right.
Yeah. So Adam Belcher,
Alan,
Alan Belcher.
I know.
Fights.
I know.
And what happens?
it's incredible. Like he starts off, he's really relaxed, and he gets drilled. This guy drills him, and he goes down for a 9 count. I mean 9. Okay, so you're like 9 and then 10, it's over. Belcher gets off the canvas. Here's me yelling from Edmonton. Here's me screaming at the screen. Next round gets dropped again, gets dropped 3 times. Okay. And everyone was to the last millimeter. And then Belcher comes back and wins it.
By an overhand right. Like, when I watched the thing, like, he dips his head a little bit.
Yes.
And the guy bites hard.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2-inch movement.
It's like when you're fly fishing, Jesse. It's the same thing when you're fly fishing. It's the same kind of mentality. You're messing with that fish. That's exactly what Belcher did. The guy bit and he got knocked out, and Belcher won. And literally, my neighbors came from across the street. They thought we were getting robbed because I was yelling so loud. And I was so happy for Alan Belcher because he's one of the guys in the sports that deserves to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of guys now that we're seeing that they're branching out and finally making some money, because for years they've put their body, and Alan, well documented eye injury, very low vision out of his eye, and had to go through all that, wasn't sure, comes into this, and now is the new heavyweight champ of bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, which is incredible. Listen, that's how boxing started back in the day. So
right,
when boxing started,
they
that was the
leather around their hand, and that was it. Yeah,
right, so.
And you look, and it is vicious. It is, but that is kind of the point. But there's something, I don't know, almost beautiful a little bit more, because both guys know what can happen, and so you really do have to focus on. It's not like throwing like haymakers and just like trying to like do that. Yeah, okay, at the beginning they always do that kind of stuff, but you have to be so defensive and ready, and your footwork must have to be great. Otherwise, if you get clipped once on that bone in your jaw with a knuckle, oh boy, you're not getting up very soon. Alan somehow gets up twice.
3 times. 3 times.
The one is like right to the wire and gets it. And but that's what you want. It was crazy. And then Jake Paul fights Fury. Now, okay. What'd you think? What did you think first?
Well, I actually thought that Jake Paul was going to win the fight because I don't think much of Tommy Fury. Yeah. But I know that Tommy Fury, one thing about boxing that people have to realize is that when you have an amateur boxing career, it actually means something in boxing. It's the same thing with hockey. You got to play like Pee-wee, and then you got to play the next. And you got to play the next. You got to go through the process. What you see in boxing sometimes, guys miss that process. You know what I mean? And if you miss that process of doing amateur boxing, it's a much harder road for you to go on. Well, that's one thing you could see in this fight was Tommy Fury had way better boxing skill.
Yeah, you could see it was a little more evident.
Yeah, very well. It was very clear. So that came from those amateur boxing days, and then he had those rounds in. So it was a good fight for what the fight stood for. Tommy Fury won 100%. Like I thought
the split part.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
the split part is for the rematch, right? Like they can say, "Oh, it was a split decision. Let's have a rematch." Right? It doesn't really warrant a rematch.
The other two guys, like they had him up 3 rounds. They had him up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
it was only an 8-round fight. So and one round you got a point taken off. So do the math, right?
Yeah,
so
that's true. But again, like in terms of boxing, you have this now. Boxing became relevant again.
Yes,
because. You look at the others, you look at the, the quote unquote pro side. Who do you got? Like
Tyson Fury. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Garcia,
Yeah, that's right. Ryan Garcia.
But you wonder about I mean, there's not really it's not really there anymore. It's not what it was. Like what happened on Sunday, that is more resembling what it was like in the 80s, 90s of boxing. The hype, the spectacle, the people that came, like that kind of stuff. Like you can see, like it's hard. You're hard pressed now to find those bouts that, get those draws. Like back in the day, seemed like there was one every weekend.
Yeah, his name was Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
right.
Mike, yeah.
So
And he fought
you
so
remember
much.
when Tyson fought, we all ran to go watch it, and we
But there
got
were
there
so
early.
many more than Mike. Like you look
Yeah.
all the way up through that time, and I was a huge Sugar Ray Leonard fan, so you go, and that was before
Hagler
like,
Hearns. I mean, you remember that Hagler Hearns?
Oh
you
my
remember
gosh.
Hagler? It was crazy, man. Crazy fights.
And
Like,
then you go into like, I know you're not a huge fan of Lennox Lewis, but garnered a lot of attention and went through.
Yeah.
Holyfield. Like, I mean, there was so many names that drew you to a fight where it's just hasn't been there. And I think largely due to management. I really do.
well, but that's this new invention of what we watched on the weekend on Sunday with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury's of the world. Tommy Fury made between $4 and $6 million for this fight. It's his 8th fight. He made
Right.
that kind of money.
Yeah, who makes
so
that?
That's not real. So Jake Paul is the mastermind behind all this stuff. So Jake Paul's the one that manifested and made this all happen. And literally he can basically call what he wants to do now, because he can basically put on another fight card with, this YouTube star against this YouTube star, this guy against this guy, him against another YouTube star, and then Tommy Fury against some other kind of YouTube-y kind of guy. And, it sells out. They get pay-per-view buys. Everybody makes millions of dollars. Why do we have to go cross that line into the Canelo category? We don't want to get brain damage to the point where
I mean, to me, it's the same thing as PJ and Liv. You can say what you want about Liv, but they did something. They got people watching golf again, or
They sure
caring
did.
about it. At least maybe when the Masters weren't on. Like maybe that's it.
You're right, Jesse.
And
100%.
so their class obviously isn't as good as what you're going to get out of a Ryan Garcia or whatever, Tyson or anybody really in the pro level. That you're not going to get the same class, but it's not always about that. It's about bringing attention back to the sport, and
That's
it's doing
right.
it. The Paul brothers, I really and I wanted to, and I did hate them for a while.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
me
I
too.
did hate them for a while. But what they're doing is brilliant. It is 100% brilliant. And everything they touch right now turns to gold.
Yeah.
You throw up they start a random podcast, or Logan does, and goes crazy. They, hey, I'm going to get into energy drinks. Sponsors UFC now. Going massive. Like the sales on that Prime energy drink are mind-blowing.
Yeah, they are.
Then you start fighting. That looks like the brothers are fighting because the other brother starts sponsoring or starts shouting out another energy drink company. And you're like, well,
And don't forget now, the guy that's calling out Jake Paul more than anybody's KSI.
right.
And KSI's business
They're
partners
business
with,
partners.
with his brother, Logan. So it's
And
so
people are like,
bizarre.
what's
man.
going on? It's like, well, it doesn't really matter what's going on. All they want is us to watch. That's it. And they're doing everything right to get attention on it. I mean, I get
100%.
inundated with stuff every single day about these guys.
Yep.
And beef with this person, and it's you but you can see the show. Like I see the show, like I see what they're trying to do and be successful, and I have to commend them for it, because they've done more for the sport of combat sports. They've done more for combat sports the last 3 years than maybe UFC, boxing, and everything else has combined the previous 5.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, really, like I taught, when the first when the Mayweather pay-per-view with the Pauls happened, you were wondering like, okay, well, what's going on? But everyone bought that. Like so many people bought
everybody.
that. And then you're like, well, it's an exhibition essentially, like it's a joke.
That's what they called it. Yeah.
And then Floyd does another one and it bombs, like the arena was empty. And so you're like, okay, well, it wasn't Floyd that made that happen. It was the Pauls. And the Pauls realized that everyone younger than, well, frankly, you and I, Mark, needs to be brought back in, and they need to be brought in a way that they've consumed content in media their whole childhood. My kids grew up watching the Paul brothers, and so 100% they're going to watch what they do now that they're growing up and some are adults. Like they're going to tune in and watch, and they grew up with these guys, so it's been brilliant. And when you think about like YouTube stars or whatever, they all have millions of followers. And you go, as great as some of the great fighters were, they didn't have the same presence outside of the ring that all these YouTube guys, the Pauls, have. It's actually quite impressive that they've been able to take this channel, grow it to millions and millions and millions of followers, and now roll it into millions and millions and millions of dollars. These guys' net worth must be crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
It is one of those things that, and again, you either can fight against it or you can go on for the ride.
Yeah, like Jake Paul right now, like losing the way he did to Tommy Fury, he has an automatic rematch clause in the contract.
Yeah.
Automatic, right? Which is smart. But the crazy part is there's a bigger fight out there for him, and it's KSI. So if he goes and fights KSI, who would be an easier fight for him, he could probably make more money doing that and then build up another
easier fight.
Easier.
Okay.
And then build up a fight against Tommy Fury again. And then if he beats Tommy Fury, now they have the trilogy. So this is a gift that's going to keep giving for a long period of time, very long period of time.
What do you think? Like, what is a mistake that they should not be doing? Like, what is something that, like, okay, well, that would wreck it if they did this?
Well, I don't think they could take too long of a break, right? Like,
right.
I think now that you have the momentum, and same with his brother. I don't know what Logan's doing. He's not a very good boxer.
No, I think he's prime. I think that was just to get off the ground a little more again.
Yeah, but he should get more back in the picture with his brother, kind of building up these fights. You know what I mean? Because he does bring so many eyeballs to the table. And I'm telling you, like, they have to keep momentum. And that's the trick that they have to learn is like, okay, when's your next fight? Like nobody knows, right? It's like, oh, is it in May? Is it in June? When is it? So.
And that's the thing. We don't know. But again, like, if anything we've learned out of these guys is they know how to get attention back to them, even if they feel it's winning.
Yeah, correct.
It is pretty impressive. You can't argue that fact that they brought so much attention to the sport.
I'm done arguing it. I'm done saying it's not real boxing or no, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Yeah, you're still two guys getting in there trying to knock each other's heads off. That
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Live Golf. Live Golf just announced 4 days ago, that every major, so the US Open, British Open, Masters, and the PGA are all allowing Live golfers to play on tour. So
the majors are allowing Live golfers in it.
Yes, Live golfers go in and play, right? So, that's funny to me because I'm like, well, if I'm Dustin Johnson and I'm already worth, $200 million, I technically only want to play in the Masters, US Open, PGA, and the British Open. I want to play in the big four shows.
Yeah.
Who cares about the Honda Classic?
No.
Who gives a shit about the Tuck Open? No one cares.
Nobody.
Man.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Nobody.
They don't.
Cares.
Just
like that's the thing. Like, I mean,
but that's my point. That's my point. My point is, now their athletes are getting the opportunity to say, you know what? I'm not going to play 47 times a year on the PGA Tour, kill myself, staying in every, Super 8 hotel. I'm going to go and I'm going to go and Live Golf just where they're going to pay me. And then I'm going to, the guy just won this weekend, hasn't won since 2018. The first guy won and literally made $4 million for the win.
Yeah.
Plus they were paying him.
Is it sustainable though?
I don't think so. Because I think their TV deal's dog shit.
Yeah.
Their TV deal's terrible. And I think I can't even believe they did that TV deal.
It is a little surprising, that one.
Yeah, and I don't know how the ratings were. It was a channel that didn't come up on your television set. You actually had to subscribe to it. And you know what's funny in this day and age when it comes to golf is still not a subscribing sport. You understand? Like the NFL is a subscribing sport. The UFC is a subscribing sport.
Mm-hmm.
Those are subscribing sports.
Yeah.
Golf is definitely not a subscribing sport.
No.
So it's got to be on free television and you got to be watching it. So that's like just like PGA. If you want to watch a PGA, it's on free TV, man. Like it's not on cable, like on a cable network where you have to pay to have it on your television set. And that's going to be a humongous problem for Live. They made a gigantic mistake by doing that. And like I said, it's funny. I don't think guys want to be back on the PGA Tour. I just think that they think it's weird, like how the system works, because it's way less tournaments. It's way more money. And me personally, I would be a live golfer, meaning like
Right.
I want the money.
Yeah.
I want to play for the money.
Yeah.
I don't care about Tiger Woods could barely make a cut anymore. So now you're down to like Rory
Do you see
McIlroy.
how funny that was though when he played in the last tournament and like he makes
Yeah.
the cut and everyone
He made the
freaks
cut.
out like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is amazing. But
Yeah.
that's their only move. That's PGA's only card.
Yeah, and did you know what he said after though? Tiger said that he said it best. I'm not playing any more golf tournaments. I'm playing in the majors.
Yeah.
I'm only playing in the four, just like the live golfers. He
Yeah.
goes, I'm only playing in the four majors. My body cannot hack like playing week in and week out. He played in that tournament because he was the host of the tournament and Riviera, and that's it. Like
Well,
he's
yeah,
not
how
playing in
does
any
that
other
make-
tournaments.
And you look at that and how is that any different?
Exactly.
How is that any different? These live guys are just going and doing something else. Like, hey, we don't want to play these other ones. We want to play these
Yeah.
ones.
And they're not I actually don't think like I think you almost have to play every event the way it's kind of structured
Right.
because you're a team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm
Sure they
an
have a
alternate
reserve
kind of
list.
situation if someone doesn't play.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely they would.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like you could do that kind of stuff a little more because it's a little more open. Now, just looking, their ratings in the first tournament bombed.
Well,
And
yeah.
again, like the CW network, like I don't really know. I think they could have probably got something else.
Yeah, because what happened was they couldn't make a deal. Then they had to make a deal at the last second. Fuck, season starting, man. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just
Well, I'm
started.
surprised Fox didn't jump on this one.
Unbelievable, Jesse. Cannot believe that they did not. They could have packaged it a million times. Listen,
Well,
are
it's
we
Fox. Like
am I
you just
am
gonna
I am
watch.
I slow? Am I slow? Are we slow in the head? Like, because I'm trying to figure this out. Like, that would be like that wouldn't even be on my top 500 list, that network.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, what, they didn't have anybody that had the smarts to go into Fox and say, Fox, Dustin Johnson, Cameron Smith.
Yeah, you
all
bring
these-
in Dustin Johnson to Fox
yeah,
and like
Phil
bro,
Mickelson.
like, we
I got
wanna-
all these guys. I got all these
Yeah.
characters here, man. And it's like, you know what? You guys can't sell this. Of course they can sell it, right? And that's the part that I just shake my head at. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you guys couldn't find a better deal than this? That's where Liv really screwed up. They really screwed up on the TV deal because, like I said, golf is not a sport that it's a subscribable sport, meaning like you're not going to do that. You will do people do that for the WWE before they would do that for golf.
Yeah, and they do. There is pay-per-views for that. There has been for years. One of the first ones outside of
That's
Fox,
right.
and it
Outside of
did it.
Fox. Yeah,
like
correct.
It's and you look at man, I just really my whole thing in this is to change the PGA to a place where it's actually relevant again. And okay,
They have changed some things, like
they
you
have.
said.
They had to.
Yeah, they're trying to hipify a lot of
Yeah.
things. They're still not even close to being there yet.
No.
But you still don't know the players. Like you don't know them, and that's something like why hasn't anybody stolen
Did
the
you watch
F1?
the next Flick series yet?
Which
About
one?
Well, it's PGA. It's called Full Swing.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it yet.
Mm.
But I'm saying is like tennis took
Yeah,
it up.
Breakpoint.
And at Breakpoint, I watched it. It was very well done.
Yeah.
And then like people want to know who people are, and if they don't know who they are, they're not buying it anymore. So you can try to sell whatever you want. I told that to the CFL multiple times. I mean, I'm not a CFL person, but and I know people are going to sit here and argue and go, "Oh, it's a great game." It's not a great game. It's not. Like, what's wrong with people?
Goofy.
It drives me nuts. It's goofy as shit. You're giving a guy 5 yards on a kickoff, on a punt. You're giving a guy that's ridiculous. Like, there's a million things that you have to fix. Sure, leave it to be 3 downs. I'm okay with the 3 down thing. I'm just not okay with the rest of everything else that you're doing. And it's weird. You watch the CFL and you're like, well, why don't I like the CFL? Because I can't relate to anybody. You're not letting me know who anybody is, so I can't relate to you. You know what's funny? You and I go and watch Canadian Basketball League.
Yeah.
I love the Canadian Basketball League. I love the Edmonton Stingers. But you know what's funny? Because we have such great seats, we sit on courtside with our feet on the court and we get to know the players.
Yeah.
We can see their personalities.
Yeah.
They talk to us, we talk to them. Then we can kind of figure out, oh, I like him. Oh, I don't like him. It doesn't matter if I don't like him. I still want to see him play. And that's how you have to have some emotion. And why these other sports have not figured that out is beyond me. And especially especially golf. Like PGA golf has never figured that out.
It
for
should
some
be
reason.
all the stories. Like that's
Yes.
what it should be all the time. Like you need
Did
to
you
go.
remember? Did you remember when DeChambeau and Koepka were not getting along on the PGA Tour?
Yeah.
And the PGA Tour, instead of promoting that like a heavyweight fight, because they were both kicking ass at the time, right? Why you didn't immediately say to both of them, okay, here's $2 million each. We're going to play a golf tournament against each other, but we're going to mic you pricks up. Okay. PGA Tour should have did this immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't like each other. Perfect. You don't have to talk to each other, or you can. We're going to mic you guys up, put it on television. What do you think the ratings would have been for that?
Oh, dude. Like the best they've had in
ever. Ever. Who's the idiot that didn't understand? Okay. Or do a $2 million winner take all 18 holes, right? And you guys play each other. Mic those two pricks up. Don't dub out anything. If they swear, let them swear. Let's see who they really are. But if you could have let them go and do that. Now both, you know what the funny part is? They did that controversy. And what happened? The next year, Live Golf signed both of them.
Yep. Hey, see, they know what's up.
Yeah. And that's, I'm just baffled by, like, you didn't see the opportunity to do that immediately to promote your brand. And they don't.
They don't see it because it's the good old boys club and they just don't get that. Yeah. They just think, hey, we're PGA. Nobody's better than us.
You're totally right. You're totally right.
We don't have to do anything. I feel that UFC is falling into the same trap.
I couldn't agree more.
We're the UFC. We're the biggest. Yeah. We're the best. We don't really have to do anything. We don't really have to put much effort in. We just got to.
Well, you know, it's funny too. Our boy Cyril Gann's fighting this weekend, so against Jon Jones. So I mean, can you imagine if Cyril Gann wins that fight?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Jon Jones, like, they need him to win so bad for the brand.
Yeah,
they need him to win like so bad, and I don't think it's going to be that easy of a fight for him against Cyril Gann.
They're actually built very similar, aren't they?
Yes, but I think Cyril's better stand up. I think John's better on the ground and a better wrestler, but I think Cyril's better standing up. So we'll see what happens. But
no, Tiger Woods.
I'm just shaking my head because I'm like, well, you brought Jon Jones finally back.
Yeah.
And now
one really
you're putting up. Yeah. And then Cyril Gann, who people don't really know. You know, it's like weird how Cyril lives his life because he's like, he's still an anomaly. He's like, he's beat everybody except Francis Ngannou, and Francis Ngannou has knocked out everybody except Cyril Gann twice.
Yeah.
He can't knock out Cyril Gann. He can't.
No, that maybe not. Again, like, but you know, and Ngannou, he decided too, like, I'm out. I'm doing something you guys aren't wanting to build this around me.
Can you imagine? And you imagine that the biggest MMA organization in the world and your heavyweight champ says, I'm out. I'll see you guys later. Like, there's something not right there. Like, your heavyweight champ of the world says, I'm not fighting for you guys any longer. Whatever he asked for, they didn't want to give him. And I guarantee you it's nothing like, it wasn't boxing money. You know what I mean? It was MMA money.
Yeah.
And they basically finally just said, you know, UFC said, nah, we don't care. Like, your heavyweight champ of the world just bounced.
And that goes back to the other thing. It's like you're relying on this idea that you can just ride on what you've built already.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. And yeah, okay, that works for a while, but eventually there's a disconnect. And I would say there's a huge disconnect with everyone under 28.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, they're tuning in to watch Jake Paul fight versus tuning in to watch a numbered UFC event. I can promise you that.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's some, I don't know who's running the stuff over there, making calling those ideas out or not, or shooting them down, because I guarantee you someone's smart enough over there to say it. Who's shooting them down, though? That's the other thing. Now, Tiger, I didn't get a chance to talk about this before, but I want to. Tiger carries tampons around in his golf bag. And
you know how much controversy that started?
Oh my
gosh. And you know what's funny? All the people that are so woke out there, you know what's funny? He got trashed for doing that. And I thought to myself, you know what? He did it so so you know how many cameras are on this guy when they can catch him doing this, and it was a joke between him and his friend, and the reason why, because he outdrove him by 40 yards, so he gave him that, and you know what's funny. You know, he's apologizing for it the whole tournament. Everybody's so bent over shape out of it. And even I'm not the biggest Tiger fan, but I was like, I get it. It's a bro joke. You know what I mean? And if you're that woke that he can't get a pass for that, you know, I don't know, man. I struggled with it immensely that people were just condemning him for it. Like, I don't know.
I don't understand. I mean, I just think that if you were to really mic up people daily,
everybody,
come on, guys, girls, doesn't matter. I know I've been around women that are very open with what they say, and some of the stuff they say is just as bad, if not worse, sometimes than what guys would say. So you're like, okay, well, you're calling it out for this kind of idea. I just don't see the level of it, but he was smart about it, and it's kind of, you know, slowly rolled under the table. Yeah, it's only, you know, been a week or two, but whatever. Like, even, but you know, some LPGA golfers came to his defense, and so anyway, I just, again, it kind of goes to the point of, why aren't we using these things to promote the sport, get more eyes on the thing, and start to do it. Like, I mean, again, I guess I could say that the UFC, the smartest out of the octagon promotion they did was when they let Conor throw the chair at the bus, like WWE style in the parkade. Really?
Well, they didn't let him. They just didn't stop him. They didn't stop him.
Same thing.
And they had perfect 4K video of the event.
Yes, with multiple cameras set up.
Yeah.
Somehow rolling.
Yeah.
But the point being, wow, that got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
People want to see that stuff. And so that's the thing. The Paul boys, back to them, understand that too. Hey, KSI, I know you and I'm Logan, and we're business partners, but my brother's over there. We need him to get some attention too. Let's have a beef between the two of you.
Yes.
And that. Now, Jake over there, yes, Logan, have this Prime Energy drink, but you know, I can't be saying it all the time. So you go over there and promote another one, and then people start to think, well, what about this Prime one? And then you start to get the fight. I mean, it's brilliant. It really is. And if you like it or hate it or want the purity of the sport, it's not about that anymore. If you're a purist of a sport, you can watch all your tournaments, you can watch all the games, you can follow all the stats yourself on the internet. There's lots of that. 100%. It's not about you anymore. It just isn't. The true fan isn't. They've already got you. You've already subscribed. You've already committed. Your life revolves around that sport. They don't need to work on you anymore. What they need to work on is people on the fringe or people that have never paid attention. And that's exactly what Formula One did when they released. We partnered with Netflix and released Drive to Survive Season 1. We have this rest of the world outside of Europe that doesn't really care about our sport. How can we get them? Well, when we look at it, most people watch Netflix every single day for multiple hours a day. Let's put something really cool on there so they have to roll into it. And boom, what happens? It explodes.
And that's what happened.
And now you have multiple American races. This year, Miami, Texas, and Vegas. By the way, did you see the ticket prices on that?
Nuts.
$6,000 USD lowest price.
You're joking. For the Vegas one?
For the weekend, yeah.
6,000 for the pass? Wow.
For the lowest one, dude. That doesn't get you on to like pit row or anything. I don't even want to know what that is.
Wow.
So I don't know what the stands are going to be, but already if you look at the hotels in that time, it's sold out. The whole place has gone nuts. They post one video of Lewis Hamilton and Checo driving down the strip doing burnouts. And
what was the video where they were driving down the Bellagio's floor?
Yeah, that was the same day. So they drove out of there and down the strip. And you're like, that was it, sold out. And again, but hey, proof
But what a
in
great
the
place
pudding.
to do a race, though, between me and you, though.
And it's a night
Vegas-
race. It's going to be a Saturday night.
Vegas night race.
Oh
Are
my
you
gosh.
kidding me, man?
Dude, it's going to be incredible.
Insane. That's insane.
Honestly, I'm so excited about. I'm excited about the whole season, but I'm excited about that so much because it's going to be such a spectacle. It's and again, why aren't these big leagues like really trying to do something different? And if you're a real fan of it, like if you really do love golf, if you're really into golf, okay, don't you want the sport to keep growing? Don't you want the kids when they wake up when they're 3-year-olds and like Tiger did and pick up a golf club? Well, they're not going to do it anymore if they don't see it somewhere. And that's it. Right. Kids learn by imitation.
Or if they can't relate to the person.
And if there's nobody or nothing geared towards young people, you might as well just I can't
listen, I'll tell you the relation story. Everybody in my generation, okay, thinks that Jack Nicklaus is the greatest golfer of all time. Okay. Everybody in my generation. Everybody in your generation lower thinks that Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer of all time. Yep. It doesn't matter. There's no arguing
LeBron.
Here. Yeah, same thing. It's like my generation knows it's Michael Jordan.
Could be Gretzky, McDavid one day.
Yeah, but then we look at hockey and same thing. There's no question, like you said, he's the greatest of all time. Now people are saying, well, it could be this. No, that's not how it works. What I'm trying to tell you is it's subjective. It is subjective.
Yes.
Meaning like for tennis, for every sport.
Yeah.
I can argue with people all the time and say, hey, no, I think Jack Nicklaus is the greatest golfer of all time. I can almost prove it with statistics, but there are some statistics that Tiger is better than Jack in. But your generation is going to say that because you can relate to him.
Yes.
I can't. My generation related to Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that with MJ and LeBron. Like everyone that watched MJ play, 90%, maybe higher, say it's MJ.
Yeah.
We just do.
Yeah.
And LeBron, okay, and then people, well, if you put LeBron back then and played then, but that wasn't how it was then. Mm-mm. That was never learned.
No.
And so you had to size
up. Could you imagine LeBron playing against the bad boys from Detroit, getting smashed by Lambeer?
He plays now, he wouldn't be able to do it because it was so violent. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like people don't understand either. If anyone could say, okay, is LeBron a flopper or whatever? Yes. You can't argue that fact that he doesn't placate to the refs. You can't deny it. LeBron gets the call or the no call. He gets those things.
Or the non-travel call.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, exactly. Back then, I don't know if you could have as much. Yeah, there was players that could move the refs and stuff, but it was a different game, and you can't take that away. That MJ had to play in through
same
that
with Gretzky.
time.
If Gretzky played in this era, he would have got 300 points.
Yeah,
because you can't clutch and grab it in this NHL. Back in the other NHL, you could clutch and grab all the time. Here you can't. It's literally like playing shinny hockey. There's no fighting. There's very little like major hits anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you
very
remember,
little.
Like
Gretzky
you had to build a team.
That's why McDavid's tearing this up.
Yeah,
that's why.
There's no one there to threaten him.
No,
really, what has to happen is back in the day when a guy you went out there and you went after the guy, and in the playoffs you do see it. Like in the playoffs, you saw it more because
it's the best.
Yeah,
it's the
because
best
McDavid didn't have his there was games obviously that were brilliant, but then there was others where like he can't get it going because these guys have decided.
Jesse, when they ended up playing Colorado, they got squeezed out at the end because it's great, all the talent in the world, but Colorado had toughness and talent, and when you got toughness and talent, you're in trouble. You know, so Oilers, if they can get that, they are getting tougher, but at the same time as goaltending, the rest of the stuff comes into play. But
all the other teams too that are tough already that make it. What's going to happen there, because it is different again even than it was when it was pure skill, maybe maybe even 10 years ago ish, like it was more like on the skill of it all, where now it's starting to come back a little more balanced again. Now again, to the whole point of everything, it evolves your sport. You have to go through these things and try something different. And I remember in I think it was 92 when they changed a lot of the hockey thing. They did a lot. And then in 2006, I believe it was, when they got rid of clutch grab
That's right.
altogether.
You couldn't do that ever.
Ever. And, people were like, well, this is stupid. Like, it's going to change the game. Yeah, it's going to change the game. But we can't argue that it did make it better. It actually made it better.
Because you see more goals.
You see more goals. You see that kind of stuff. So, okay, you can go too far one way, which I think they did for a while, but they've had over a decade now to pull it back and find a balance, which is what you have to do. But if you're never willing to try, if you're never willing to push the envelope, if you're never willing to, maybe even make a mistake with something, how are you ever going to evolve? And eventually the fan base ages up and nobody watches your sport anymore.
Well, I saw that in baseball. I saw that in baseball recently. They're making the bases bigger. So they're making the base pads bigger.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, why would you be making the base pads bigger? Well, because on the Me and Jesse podcast, Mark and Jesse are talking about making the base pads bigger. We're talking about Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball, as you know, doesn't change very often. Babe Ruth played with the same base layout, the same everything. Maybe the pitching speed is faster now, but the bats are 10 times better now as well. So, the bats were not as good back then, but you break down baseball, and I saw the other day, they're changing the size of the bases.
Yeah.
And I was like, what next? Like you're trying to get some attention somewhere, but how is that going to change the game? Changing the size.
I just pulled up one thing. The first report in is that the whole idea of these changes, and there's been a few, is to get younger fans to watch. And so, okay, they shortened the distance by 4.5 inches. But when you think about it, you're like, okay, what's the difference? Well, when you think about those throws down to second base from the catcher, they're always that close. They're very close.
Yeah. They want you to get to second.
You make that a little short. They want you to get to second.
They want you to get to second. Jesse, that's exactly what I interpreted. I'm like, oh, they want you to turn your single into a double. They want you in a scoring place. So instead of the score being 4-2 or 4-3, it's going to be 9-8. And that's what they want. They want scores to be higher, just like in soccer. Like if soccer is the only sport where they got their middle finger up to everybody saying, we're not changing shit. Because if they wanted to make it more exciting, they would change the offside rule. They would change it till basically like make a line like somewhere 10 feet away from the goal. And that's where it can only count. The rest of the place on the field, there should be no offside. But that's soccer. If soccer had any sense, they would change the offside rule and it would make the game a million times better.
I think so too. And I really do believe that they're going to have to change. Like everyone's going to have to change things with a new way we consume media.
When you see baseball doing it, Jesse, when you see baseball, the almighty American sport of baseball changing that rule for bases, I'm like, wait a second. It's going to be like everybody's going to have to follow suit, because if you want to make it more exciting, like hockey said, okay, no more clutching and grabbing. We're going to call you on a penalty every time when you do it. And they do. And then they turn around in baseball and they say, you know what? We're going to make the base 4 inches. But Jesse just came down with the analogy going, they just barely make it every time. Well, that extra 4 inches means they won't barely make it. They'll make it. So there you go. You get a pass for a base hit now. One base hit knocks in the run, drives up the runs in baseball. This is what they want. Everything is changing towards that in every sport. Look at golf. Lives comes along and says, know what, you guys? You can wear shorts. You can wear shorts on tour. You can do this. You can do that. What do you mean we can wear short? We can wear shorts, and like these are just these little things that you keep adding up. Like how can we hippify our sport?
Yep.
And that's what they need to do.
Absolutely. Now MLB is opposing a pitch timer, which
there's another one.
That's
crazy. That's part of that base thing. The pitch counter one too is like if you don't do something in a certain amount of time, it counts as a ball.
Yeah. So in an effort to create quicker pace of play, there'll be a 30-second timer between batters. And then between pitches, there will be a 15-second timer with the bases empty, and it goes up to 20 seconds with runners on base. Much quicker than it ever used to be.
Before.
Sometimes it would take a minute or two to get.
Jesse, do you realize that too, that you can't throw the ball as many times to first base too, right? So if you have a base runner on there to check them, you can't keep throwing the ball back and forth to the first baseman, because that's cutting into your time.
Yeah, it is. It actually counts towards
That's right. So now you're making the base bigger, and you're giving the guy a bigger lead off because you can't throw the ball back to first base as often or ever without screwing up your pitch count on the timer.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
So-
But once again, that's the change. Like baseball purists are probably puking in their soup right now. But you know what I mean? For sure they are. For sure they are. The guy, the Ricky Hendersons of the world that have the, base stealing
Yeah.
records. Those records all be shattered now because you just gave the guy an extra 4.5 inches to touch the base. And
Well, they said, I've just reading some stats. They did test this in AAAs, and the success of stolen bases only went up 2%, but the frequency went up more. And which is interesting, right? And some of the fielders were saying, well, it's actually good for us too because I'm a little closer and I have a little more. Yeah. So you're like, okay, well, it just ups the frequency overall of someone taking a base,
which is still a benefit because we love that.
You need more action.
Love that. We love that first to second steal. All of us love it. So why not? We'll see it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but who cares? DC's going for it. So that's what we see. But overall, you're seeing that in all sports now. Between even boxing, what they're doing, you're going to see it everywhere now. Hockey did it.
Well, remember NFL, too, like when they brought boxing from 15 rounds down to 12, and there's.
But NFL's gone the opposite way. NFL they're messing it up to the highest degree right now. When literally, it is absolutely insane.
I don't get it.
The pass interference is not clear in the NFL. The roughing the passer is beyond disgusting.
Horrendous.
It's horrendous. They really have did a disservice to the NFL by changing those rules. And I can't believe they're not going to be having this conversation during the summertime when they all get together about listen, your quarterback, once the second leaves the pocket, he can get annihilated.
See, here's my thing. If you're a boxer, if you're an MMA fighter, if you're a combat sport fighter, you know what you're getting into. If you're a hockey player, you know what you're getting into.
Correct.
If you're a football player, you know what you're getting into.
Correct.
And to cover their ass, the NFL is like, oh, we don't want to be sued over the CTE thing that we buried for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, more than that.
Bullshit,
Yeah,
and they got away with it. But the players know what they're getting into. They know that, hey, I'm putting my body on the line for millions and millions of dollars. And I'm going to get my bell rung. I'm going to take hits. I'm going to get hurt. It's going to be. It's football, and you've eradicated that out of the game. Now, when there's a big hit, you're waiting to see if there's a flag. You're waiting to see who's going to call a penalty because
every catch.
You're waiting for something to happen because you don't know. Every time the pocket collapses around a quarterback and the ball gets thrown, you see a flag come in. You're like, oh, roughing the passer. The passer's getting roughed over there.
And how
because
can that
the pocket
be roughing
collapsed
the
and
passer?
your defensive line or your offensive line sucks. And you're like, okay, this is the thing. Like there's knee-jerk reactions to try to fix things, and then there's things that actually make your sport better. And NFL has doubled down on trying not to get in trouble. That's it. That's all they are. They're just trying to protect an asset they have.
I agree.
And us as fans have to watch a Super Bowl where we talked not about a great game, but about a stupid call at the end of it. And that summarizes what's going on in most of the big sports that have been around for a while. They're unwilling to change anything, and we end up talking about the things we don't want to be talking about. I want to be talking about a great round from a golfer. I want to be talking about a great fight. I want to be talking about a great game that was played and the
not
refs
the shitty call that the referee made.
Not
I agree.
Something outside of it. And the big sports, the big five or whatever you want to say, aren't really doing it. In fact, I got to give kudos to hockey a little bit because it seems like they have tried and were on the forefront of trying to figure it out back in 2006-07 when they said, hey, let's try to evolve our sport. And as much as I hate Gary Bettman, and I do with an undying passion, I can't deny that
you're allowed to.
He's done it. Like he did it. And he put it in markets where I didn't think they would work, and he stuck it out, and they worked.
Well, Vegas is the one I thought, wow, like they're going to pull that one off. and they've done phenomenal.
Seattle. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like, okay,
they're all doing great, and it's so awesome to me personally. So awesome to see them all doing so well, and I'm down with it. Listen, there's nothing, even to this day, I love the NFL with all my heart. Number one. But playoff hockey in the NHL is dynamic. It is worth every penny to watch NHL hockey during playoff time. During the season, I could take it or leave it. Playoff hockey, forget about it. I watch it.
It's different.
It's a different level. They all turn up the volume. Everybody turns up the volume. Everybody starts hitting. Everybody's watching everybody's back. That's for me. NFL, they got to fix the roughing the passer, and they got to fix the passer.
Like, it is so screwed up. Like, I do not.
The referees are too old, Jesse. They're too old. They're all ex-judges and lawyers, and they're all old. You need younger guys. You need sharper vision. You need whatever it takes to make the sport better. But when you soften it up to the point where roughing the passer, and you really see defensive players handicapped now in the NFL.
Yeah.
For they go to
Tom Brady said the very same thing. He said it.
It's
like, man, like, really, this isn't fair.
It's not fair.
It isn't fair.
Tom Brady said
it. So you're like, okay,
yeah.
and it benefits him, and he's like, this isn't really fair for them. Like,
it's not.
It's just not how it was, and man, yeah, the officiating is bad. I just don't get it. But overarching, to summarize our last hour of talking about this. The sports that are going to make it and keep going are the ones that are willing to evolve. If things like the UFC aren't careful and just neglect the evolution of where things are going, they will find themselves on the back foot one day. They will find themselves.
No, but don't you say it right now? If you're going to talk about sports, right? You're going to talk about NFL being number one. We agree on that, right? And then on number two, we can easily say it's Major League Baseball. I'm talking about for the whole kit and caboodle, right?
Well, North America. I mean, I guess football.
Yeah, but football is in that as well. We can say that the football is in that league with Major League Baseball. Then you have the NBA.
Yeah.
You have, and then you get into the fringe of the UFC and the stuff like that. But I don't think UFC's in that top 3-4 at all.
No.
I don't.
No.
I don't at all. And I don't think they ever will be. I honestly believe that. Like I tell everybody, it's still the biggest cult sport in the world is MMA, meaning like it's a cult thing. It's like WWE wrestling.
Right.
It's a cult thing. It's like that group of people watch MMA, watch wrestling. Guess what though? The NFL fan watches Major League Baseball, NBA, maybe the UFC. He watches boxing. She watches boxing. Whatever the case may be. But what I'm trying to tell you is they have they have the biggest cult following, like a sport like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not, I don't think your kids are watching the UFC, Jesse.
Nope.
I'm just gathering.
No, they're not. No, they're
okay,
not.
so that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think, and your kids are kind of hipper kids, right? They're YouTube guys.
Yeah, they're
on top of stuff. They're cool kids, right? But do any of them watch the UFC?
No.
See?
No.
That's Jesse. Jesse,
don't.
Isn't that crazy when you think about it? 5 boys, none of them watch the UFC, and they're all sports-minded guys.
Yep.
So isn't that weird? That okay, great. So your demographic is going to start dying soon because that's what happens with sports.
Absolutely.
Your demographic falls off and no one comes to replace them because you have 5 active boys that are sports orientated. Not one of them watch the UFC.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And if they don't do something, they're going to lose it. And Jake Paul can start his own thing. Watch that.
Yeah. And
Really?
guess what? They'll be like, wow, this MMA thing's kind of cool. Oh, and Jake Paul's running. That's what happens. They need someone to relate to.
Yeah.
They don't relate to anybody in the UFC right now.
It's
UFC's so desperate that they brought in back Conor McGregor to do the Ultimate Fighter show. Can you imagine that? And Conor McGregor's doing it, which is like 5 steps down for the guy.
I don't get that
it's
either.
crazy.
But there he is. They're doing it
Yeah.
because he must have some sort of deal or equity in it. Because
I totally
there's really
agree.
no other reason, and you can't deny the numbers. But again, it's the same old trap that the PGA found itself in. Hey, let's just rely on this one guy. What happens if they leave? And then and you can see the proof in the pudding when Tiger, comes out and like golf's average. And,
He did.
And,
He
and
played the
that's
Riviera.
all they can talk about.
Listen,
That's all they
Jesse,
can talk about.
Jesse, I'm guilty. I watched the tournament when he was playing in it.
Yeah.
I watched it. I did.
Yeah.
I never watch golf tournaments. I watch Live once in a while. I don't watch the PGA until it's the Masters or the US Open, or I don't even watch the PGA that much, and I don't watch I watch the British Open a little bit. So I watch 2.5 PGA tournaments a year, 2.5. I watched the one in Riviera with Tiger. There was so much hype. There was so much hype behind it. I said, yeah, I'm going to watch it. And I was literally watching it, and Martineau would come and join me to watch it. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
We're actually watching a PGA golf tournament right now. It's bananas.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to relate to someone. And until they figure that out, you're going to find out the hard way, because they had to bring back Conor McGregor. They had to. He hasn't won. Go check when the last time he won a fight was.
Man, oh
Go
man.
check. He hasn't won a fight forever. He lost to Poirier the last
Cerrone
time.
was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's lost how many in a row? He hasn't won a fight in forever. And now it's like, oh my God, guys, someone get Conor back here. Like we need someone to stir the shit up or something, because no one's doing that. Right now, Jon Jones is fighting Cyril Gane for the heavyweight championship of the world. Jon Jones has now become like a normal person, not trash talking, not saying it, because he has so much bad shit behind him.
That's right.
He's like, no, I ain't saying shit. I'm just gonna fight.
He should be quiet for a little while.
Yeah, a
and
little
then
while. Till
but
if he beats Cyril Gane, watch out. Then
Yeah.
it's like drinking and driving again,
Oh,
crazy
boy.
shit. Like that's that's what he does. But I like Jones. I think like they're all arguing who the best is and everything. Jon Jones is the best.
yeah,
But that's the problem, Jesse. Sometimes with people, when they're the best, they're a little kooky.
It's
They're a
true.
little bit. They're a little
you got
bit
to be a little
bored.
weird to be the best.
They're bored. They're bored. Jon Jones is bored. He's bored. He doesn't. He's like basically, oh, I kick the shit out of everybody. This is boring. What am I gonna go do? Drink and drive. Okay, hit a pregnant chick and run off.
Jeez.
Like, come on, man. That's what happened. All the things he got caught doing. It's just because he's bored. He literally needs to have someone around him all the time that, okay, you're bored, bro. Let's go do something.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he's bored.
Well, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. That was a fast hour. If
It
you
was
haven't
quick.
heard-
Eric Harris, we hope you feel better and your
Yeah.
family feels better.
We'll have
Have him on the show next week. Don't forget, everybody, Crystal Glass, one of our great sponsors, Crystal Glass, for all your glass needs. They're your clear choice for all your glass needs. Residential, windshields, commercial. They got it all. 310 Glass, or go to crystalglass.ca. And don't forget about Backscape, everybody. Hey, we didn't say Backscape. We didn't say back hair is bad. It's only bad if you leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody? It's disgusting if you leave it there. I said it. Go to backscape.com to purchase yours today. Fantastic product. Everybody that has purchased it from the Me and Jesse podcast show has messaged me or Jesse telling us how fantastic the product actually is.
Check those places out. Thanks so much.
How about female? Is there a female version of this coming? For not for the back, but like you
Yes,
have something?
Well, I mean, if it was for the back, that would be something. But
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Okay.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I mean, hey, Formula One. If you haven't watched Drive to Survive on Netflix, I suggest you tune in. Everyone that
Before
I've
you
shown-
watch F1.
before you watch it,
Before you
like-
watch F1.
or if you don't even think, like, I don't even know what F1 is. I've never even really. I've
Yeah,
seen cars
that's
go
right.
around, but I know what watch. You'll understand. Everybody I've told to watch it is now an F1 fan and is excited about this next season. But yeah, that starts up this weekend. We're
Crazy.
excited about it. Anyway, that's Mark Pavelich, or down below. He's down below, over there. I'm Jesse Martineau. It's like the Brady Bunch. Remember that?
That's why I'm doing it.
We'll see you next time, everybody, on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.